Hello my gorgeous divas, it's Dew here. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, hi and welcome. Today we're going to be doing an exotic floral nail look with a lot of 3D sculpting. This is a pop-off set, so we're not really committing to anything long term. I'm starting with a layer of cuticle oil on my natural nails and then going straight into a peel-off base coat. I love trying this combination out because I really enjoy creating new sets without having to commit to them, and literally popping it off is so satisfying. For this set, I'm going to be using long stiletto nail tips, and I'm going to be adhering them with the same exact peel-off base coat. So when applying the nail tips, I went in with a 45-degree angle, and then I cured each nail as I went using a flash cure lamp. You can use any preferred nail tip shape or even full cover gel tips if you guys wish to recreate this look. However, if you do plan to wear this set for a few weeks plus, I definitely recommend you do your usual prep routine. I am skipping these today just because I know I'll be popping these off later. But if you do want to see my normal prep routine, I've gone over that in some of my older videos if you girlies are interested. Once my hand's done, I fully cured everything for 60 seconds in the lamp. Now I'm overlaying the tips with hard gel and building a soft apex. I also brushed on a bit of primer beforehand, which helps the gel basically grip better to the surface. I have forgotten to do this in the past and everything just started like literally lifting within a day. This is because the surface was too smooth that there wasn't really enough for the gel to actually grip onto. When I do create a structured gel overlay, I always start with a super thin layer of gel. That's going to be my slip layer. It's not for the structure, it's just there so that the gel bead has something to actually stick to. This is due to the fact that gel sticks to gel. So once the slip layer is laid down, it gives me way more control when I go in with the actual bead. And also it won't run off into the sidewalls. Here I'm picking up a pretty sizable bead of gel and basically swaying it around the nail. I'm not lifting or patting the brush or anything like that. The reason for this is I'm trying to mitigate any tiny air bubbles in my application. Once the bead is down, I go in with a liner brush so I can smooth everything out and really shape it. This basically helps get rid of any lumps or uneven spots. Then I flip my finger upside down and then allow gravity to basically take its toll and help me create this nice apex. I pretty much never skip this step. It's honestly such an important step, especially when you're trying to build a structure into your nail. It makes them stronger and they're less likely to bend or snap. When I'm happy with how the nails look, I do give them a quick flash cure and then move on to the next one. I do want to give you a quick reminder though, flash curing is not a full cure, so once I've gone through all the nails, I stick them into the lamp for a full 60-second cure, and that allows everything to set out properly. After curing, I wipe them down with alcohol to remove that sticky layer. And whenever I build and structure my nails like this, I always go in with a nail file to sharpen things up and clean the shape. It gives me a very crisp look. Now for the base color, I'm starting off with a nude gel polish and painting all my nails with 2 coats of that. I wanted something simple and clean as a base since we're going in with a lot of different colors. Alright, we're going to be jumping into painting these nails now, and I'm going to be using a bunch of colors for this set. I know it's definitely more than usual and it might seem a little overwhelming at first, but honestly, don't worry too much about matching everything exactly, just pick whatever color you vibe with. So for the thumb, I'm starting with a pastel blue and painting a simple French tip. I wanted something soft to balance out the bolder elements for the rest of the set. Next, I'm doing an ombre. I'm using one of those little square sponges and just patting the gel onto the nail. And here's where things got a little interesting. I kind of forgot that color theory actually existed for a second, and I was trying to go for like an orange, but somehow it started looking slightly greenish due to the background being a vibrant blue. So for me to fix that, I basically layered a matte top coat and packed some of the pastel pigments to bring out the color that I wanted. This isn't the cleanest process, but it worked out in the end, and I liked how it looked. Now for the index finger, I'm going in with a solid white base. This is also going to be a Frenchie. On the middle finger, I wanted to try something new, like a really subtle aura effect using a soft pink color. And I used this little tool that I'm testing out for the first time. It has like this weird jelly tip. It actually worked surprisingly well. In fact, better than the sponge. It didn't soak up any of the gel, if any at all. Once I got the aura in place, I sealed it with a matte top coat and I added a forest green color to paint a design to create a seamless isolated chrome look. gorgeous chrome, I am going to rub that into the nail, and then I'm going to be using a clean square sponge to wipe all the excess off. Moving on to the ring finger, I painted a lilac French tip. I paused between this nail and the next to make it a lot easier for me to basically overlay the full design, especially when it comes to the ombre later. Finally, for the pinky, I went in with a soft light pink, just something gentle to balance out the rest of the set. Now we're going to ombre the ring finger. I use the same sponge patting technique I've showed earlier on the thumb, but this time the orange was just not oranging. So I fixed that and laid down the matte top coat on the same way I did for the thumb, and I used a small brush to pack in the pastel pigment to just bring out the colors that I wanted to peek out. The pinky luckily did not give me the same trouble since the base was already a light pink. The ombre blended pretty nicely. I used a sponge and patted a pinkish red shade on top. Then I went to the index finger. I added a layer of blooming gel on top of the white base. I followed that with a rich deep purple color. I got my dotting tool and I quickly daubed it on so that it spreads naturally all together. And once I liked the way it looked, I just gave it a 30-second cure. I'm going to follow that in with a matte top coat to seal the Frenchie in, and then brush some yellow pastel on top. I did wipe off the pastels that overlaid on top of the purple so that the dollops do stand out. Now for the fun and definitely the most tedious part of the video is the 3D sculpting. I'm going to be using a white sculpting gel for this. It's a lot easier for me to basically paint over things. I believe that it gives a much better color payoff later on. To apply the gel, I'm using a silicone tool to pick up 3 small balls to form the first layer of petals. I flash cured in between each layer just so that I can have the time to sculpt without having to worry about it becoming a mess if I make a mistake. Next, I'm going in with 2 larger balls to create the bigger petals. I molded them down gently to add more depth and dimension to the flowers. Once those are in place, I flash cured them again and added a small ball right in the center, just pressing it with a silicone tool. I made like an indent right in the middle of it. To give the orchid a little extra flair, I'm adding a cute little piercing. Before painting the flower, I am going to give it a full 60-second cure. Then I went in with a purple gel polish and started just adding depth, mixing different lines, different techniques. I use a sponge a lot to do a lot of blending techniques, and I also added some depth by adding more of the pink and deeper purples. For the index finger, the flower is going to be a much easier design. I basically divided the sculpting gel into 5 balls. I sculpted them to create a soft depth using the same tool. I painted this one with a yellow, pink, and a purple, blending the edges gently around with that same square sponge. This helps the colors melt into each other. Next, I sculpted a lily on the middle nail using 6 balls of gel. I found it actually easier to shape the gel balls a little before placing them onto the nail. So once the petals are laid out, I fully cured the nails. I wanted this flower to look like a wild lily, so I painted it with layers of pink and yellow. Then I lined the petals in with a magenta for a detailed look. I then dotted the center with some red, just to give me a little bit of specks on the petals. I then rolled 2 long pieces of gels for the stems and then added teeny tiny gel balls at the top, which I painted them brown. On the ring finger, I used the same sculpting technique as I did for the thumb to create another orchid, but this one's going to be shaped slightly different, just to change things up a little. And finally, for the last flower, I wanted to go super easy with it, and so I basically took 5 balls of gel, I placed them in a circle, and I pressed them down right in the middle, and that allows me to create like basically this natural petal texture. To paint the orchid, I used a pastel pink at the base. Added a lot of red and magenta lines using the similar technique that I used for the first one as well. To give it a bit of a contrast, what I did was I added a soft yellow into the center of the flower, just to give that polleny effect. And for the very last flower, I just patted the center with a pop of yellow. Now here comes the finishing touches. I am going to be using a variety of rhinestones and also using this butterfly sticker sheet. I'm probably just going to be using one of the butterflies for a small little detail. For the glue, I'm going to be using the Macart rhinestone glue. And I did forget to display the other version of the glue as well, which is a slightly runnier version. It's the one that comes in with a brush, and you can squeeze the tip as well for rhinestones. I never used the tip part, just the brush. That's actually the one I ended up using the most. It worked super well, especially for the smaller stones. I don't know what it is, it just spreads a lot easier, and I find that a little bit easy for me to control, especially when I'm trying to delicately place everything. finally, I'm going to be using the HEMA free top coat from the Beatles to seal everything in. I've actually gotten a lot of recommendations lately, especially when it comes to laying down the top coat. I need to go in with a thinner brush, especially around charms or any 3D details or designs on the nail. That way you can brush the gel in between any raised areas without drowning or blurring out the details. I really noticed a huge difference, especially with how clean it looked afterwards. I just took my time around the edges between the sculpted parts, and once everything was coated and placed where I wanted it, I gave the whole set a final 60-second cure. So here's what the finished set looks like. I'm absolutely obsessed with how this one turned out. They are honestly super gorgeous. I cannot stop looking at them. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I had so much fun putting this look together. I really hope you guys enjoyed it too. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!